After Kanu landed in Liaoning, the mountain torrents in July weakened and many people disappeared. British local council prevents China from building new embassy near Tower of London. Monkeypox cases surged in mainland China in July. Chinese and Japanese ships face off in Taiwan Strait. Bridges flooded in Chengdu due to heavy rain. A sudden explosion in Gaomi. Shandong led to banks and shops beyond recognition. All will be covered today in China Undercover. After Kanu landed in Liaoning, the mountain torrents in Xi'an weakened and many people disappeared. Typhoon Khanun made landfall along the coast of Shandong City, Liaoning Province, late on August 11th. Over the next 2 days, heavy to torrential rains are expected in northeastern regions, eastern Tianjin, eastern Hebei, and southern Henan. Additionally, there have been flash floods and mudslides in the Qinling Mountains region of Shaanxi Province, resulting in at least 2 deaths and 16 people missing. On August 12th, the China Meteorological Administration stated that Kanu landed along the coast of Shandong City, Liaoning Province, around 11 p.m. on August 11th, weakening into a tropical depression upon landfall. The wind intensity continued to decrease, making it difficult to determine the circulation center. However, influenced by the westerly trough and the remnants of Kanu, there will be a period of heavy rainfall in the northeastern region over the next 2 days. Heavy rainfall is expected in parts of central and eastern Liaoning, central and southeastern Jilin, central and northwest Heilongjiang, among others, with some areas in eastern Liaoning experiencing extremely heavy rainfall. According to CCTV News, this is the first typhoon to make landfall in the northeastern region this year. The China Meteorological Administration predicts heavy to torrential rains in many parts of the northeastern region, as well as in the eastern parts of Tianjin, Hebei, and southern Henan. Specifically, parts of southeastern Liaoning, southern Guangxi, and southwestern Guangdong are expected to experience heavy downpours. The Jilin Provincial Meteorological Bureau announced on the 12th that due to the combined influence of the residual moisture from Typhoon Khanun and low-level wind shear, significant rainfall is expected in the central and southern regions of Jilin Province from the 12th to the 14th, primarily concentrated from the night of the 12th to the 13th. This will result in heavy rainfall in areas like eastern Changshan, southeastern Saiping, Liaoning, and Jilin, with some regions experiencing extremely heavy rainfall. The substantial precipitation overlaps with the high-intensity rainfall during the previous flood disaster period in the Liaoning River Basin. Simultaneously, heavy rainfall has hit the mountainous regions of Shaanxi. According to Emergency Management of Xi'an on the 12th, around 6 p.m. on August 11th, a sudden mountain flood and mudslide occurred in Jiuazi, Weiziping Village, Luantown Street, Chang'an District, Austin City. This resulted in the destruction of at least 2 houses, damage to roads, bridges, and power supply facilities, causing at least 2 deaths and leaving 16 people missing. The message also stated that the mountainous areas of the Qinling region in Xi'an will experience several rounds of intense convective weather in the near future, which may lead to disasters such as mountain floods and mudslides. British local council prevents China from building new embassy near Tower of London. The Chinese Communist Party's plan to build a new embassy near the Tower of London has stalled due to opposition from the local council. The council expressed concerns that Beijing's proposed new embassy could increase the area's risks in terms of terrorism, protests, and traffic. In 2018, the Chinese Communist Party announced plans to construct a 700,000 square foot embassy on the site of the former Royal Mint in the UK, intending to replace its current embassy near Marylebone in London. The new embassy is said to be approximately 10 times the size of the current one, making it the largest overseas facility the Chinese Communist Party has built. It covers an area of about 57,000 square meters and includes offices, a cultural exchange building, and 225 apartments, nearly twice the size of the Chinese Communist Party's embassy in Washington, D.C., and 18 larger than the U.S. Embassy in London. Reportedly, the council stated that the Chinese Communist Party's government could appeal this decision to the UK government by Thursday, August 10th, but it did not. In a statement, the council said if the applicant wishes to appeal through a public inquiry procedure, they should notify us as the local planning authority, but we have not received any such notification from the applicant. The Chinese Communist Party's embassy in London has called on the UK government to intervene in this matter. The embassy stated in a statement providing convenience and support for the construction of diplomatic missions is the host country's international obligation, and we urge the UK side to fulfill its relevant international obligations. UK authorities have not immediately responded to the Chinese Communist Party's embassy's request. This comes at a time when the UK is increasingly scrutinizing Chinese Communist Party investment in critical infrastructure and allegations of Chinese Communist Party attempts to influence UK politicians and university researchers. 4 months ago, a pro-democracy Chinese protester was dragged by Chinese Communist Party embassy personnel and beaten in the courtyard of the Chinese Communist Party's consulate in Manchester. He was later rescued by British police. After the incident, the UK Foreign Secretary summoned the deputy chief of the Chinese Communist Party's embassy in the UK to demand an explanation. The Tower Hamlets Borough Council stated that the proposed embassy area would strain local police forces, exacerbate traffic congestion, and have a negative impact on the areas around the Tower of London. Millions of tourists visit the area each year. Monkeypox cases surged in mainland China in July. Recently, the Chinese CDC released statistics indicating a sharp increase of nearly 500 cases of monkeypox virus infections in mainland China last month, primarily attributed to sexual behavior among gay men. Chinese netizens have questioned whether the Chinese Communist Party (CCPI) is concealing the true number of infections and expressed concerns that the actual number could be even higher. On August 9th, the Chinese CDC website published the monitoring data for monkeypox outbreaks in July. From July 1st to 31st, there were 491 newly confirmed cases of monkeypox in 23 provinces, including Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, across mainland China. The CDC also noted that based on epidemiological investigations, all cases were male, with 96.3% of cases involving individuals engaged in male homosexual behavior. Other transmission risks were considered low. The main clinical symptoms included fever, blisters, and swollen lymph nodes. Some mainland Chinese doctors have expressed that as the disease progresses, patients may experience more apparent symptoms such as rashes, coughing, sore throat, and vomiting. These symptoms typically appear 5-7 days after infection and can last 2-4 weeks. Chinese affairs expert Qian Ping told the press that netizens' concerns are reasonable for 2 main reasons. First, the CCP has a habitual tendency to conceal information about infectious diseases. Second, the CCP may not want Chinese people or the world to focus on China's sizable gay community. Qian Ping stated, while the CCP officially acknowledges that over 90% of China's monkeypox cases occur within the male homosexual community, it may be concealing the number of cases due to concealing the total number of homosexuals, he said. He added that China's public health conditions are not perfect. China often experiences incidents of HIV infection in public places like hotels, which have similarities with the transmission medium of monkeypox. Therefore, similar transmission reasons may exist. Qian Ping reminded, be cautious and maintain personal hygiene when going out. Take special precautions to protect yourself. Be careful, as some hotels may not perform high-temperature disinfection of bedding. He analyzed that the CCP's ideology is focused on controlling people's thoughts, but it doesn't invest heavily in controlling dangerous sexual behaviors. He mentioned that in many cases, there is a degree of indulgence, and such behaviors actually occur at a higher rate than in the West. The difference is that they are hidden or occur secretly. Chinese and Japanese ships face off in Taiwan Strait. Recently, the Japan Coast Guard, including ships like PL-31 Fukushima class, PL-85 Tarama class, PL-61 Haterima class, and PL-14 Yonaguni class, entered the Taiwan Strait, claiming it was due to avoiding a typhoon. This led to a standoff with Chinese naval vessels. These 6 Japanese patrol ships in the strait are all armed vessels. Among them, PL-31 Fukushima class is the largest with a full load displacement of over 7,000 tons. It's equipped with 2 35mm twin-mount guns and 2 20mm guns, has a spacious helicopter landing platform, and a double hangar capable of carrying 2 ACE-332 Super Puma helicopters. It also has radar systems for air and sea search, making it a fully militarized patrol ship. According to Chinese military commentator Sharp Edge FM, the Chinese perspective is that Japan's excuse for entering the Taiwan Strait due to a typhoon is not convincing. They argue that Japan has multiple base docks in the Ryukyu Islands and could have easily sought shelter from the typhoon there. Instead, they chose to enter the Taiwan Strait, which seems like a pretext. After Japan's ships entered the Taiwan Strait, 6 Chinese Coast Guard vessels approached them, closely monitoring the situation. Some of these Chinese ships are also armed, like the CG-2501 ship with a displacement of over 5,000 tons, armed with a 76mm automatic naval gun, 14.5mm heavy machine guns, and high-pressure water cannons. This firepower matches that of Japan's Plate 31 Fukushima-class patrol ship. The situation has led to tense moments between the Japanese and Chinese vessels, with both sides asserting their presence in the region. Bridges flooded in Chengdu due to heavy rain. Ongoing floods continue in China. Following the floods in Beijing, Hebei, and Heilongjiang, heavy rain has now hit Chengdu, Xi'an. Many urban areas are submerged, and some bridges have been washed away by the floodwaters. People from Chengdu who were touring the Julonggu scenic area in Changzhou City found themselves stranded. They posted videos showing floodwaters rushing through the streets and joked about needing to row back to Chengdu. Another video showed a flash flood in the Xi'an Valley scenic area of Jintang County, Chengdu. Bridge piers were washed away, and bridges were also destroyed. On the night of the 11th, several videos depicted waterlogged streets in Jintang County, with many vehicles submerged. The swift currents even entered elevators, and some staircases turned into waterfalls. On August 11th, at 3:00 p.m. local time, the Chengdu Meteorological Bureau issued a blue rainstorm warning. They predicted thunderstorms with heavy rain from the evening of the 11th to the daytime of the 12th. On the 13th, local party media reported that this intense rainfall led to 170 places experiencing heavy rain and 52 others experiencing torrential rain throughout the city. The report also mentioned 21 instances of road flooding in 9 districts and counts, including Tianhuhuhaiyu North Gate in Pengzhou City, Tongkutergarten Gate on Haichang North Road in the high-tech zone, and the teaching building of Jintang Middle School in Jintang County. It also referred to focusing on areas prone to flooding, mountainous areas along the western edge, and small river flooding. However, the report did not mention the impact on the affected people. Other official media reported that the Chengdu heavy rain brought a day of coolness and mentioned Chengdu's Akensju district residents catching fish on the streets, but they did not cover the loss of life and property caused by the flooding in urban areas. Since sudden explosion in Gaomi, Shandong led to banks and shops beyond recognition. Another explosion incident has occurred in mainland China. On August 13, an explosion occurred on Fengquing Street in Gaomi City, Shandong Province. The explosion shattered many windows along the street, causing extensive damage to a neighboring grilled fish restaurant and a bank. Officials reported that the incident resulted in 2 deaths and 2 injuries. Videos posted by mainland netizens on Weibo show that there was a sudden explosion on Fengquing Street in Gaomi City, causing extensive damage to a nearby bank and a grilled fish restaurant. Large fragments of glass windows and debris were scattered everywhere, leaving the ground in disarray. Surveillance footage shows that the huge dust generated by the explosion directly impacted the opposite side of the road, affecting multiple vehicles in motion. Some vehicles were shaken into sudden skids and U-turns, and multiple individuals were seen lying on the ground. The Shandong Provincial Emergency Management Department reported that the incident occurred at around 7:15 a.m. on the 13th, when a gas explosion occurred at a local grilled fish restaurant, resulting in 1 death and 1 injury. However, the Xi'an Morning News quoted nearby shop owners as saying that the government ordered all businesses to close. The explosion did not originate from the grilled fish restaurant, because the power of the explosion in the restaurant was not that significant. In recent months, China has experienced a series of consecutive explosions, resulting in the deaths of at least more than 50 people. The most serious explosion occurred on the evening of June 21, when a gas explosion occurred at a barbecue restaurant in Yinchuan City, Ningxia. Official reports indicated that the incident resulted in 31 deaths and 7 injuries. On May 1, an explosion and fire occurred in the hydrogen peroxide production area of the Luxi Chemical Plant, a subsidiary of China National Chemical Corporation Xi'an. The incident resulted in 9 deaths, 1 injury, and 1 person missing. Another testimony of China's financial data, falling off a cliff. The surprising financial data for July in China has stunned the world. Despite Beijing's efforts to stimulate the sluggish economy since the second quarter, there's been no significant impact as reflected in the financial data. In July, new loans and social financing increments in China decreased instead of increasing, dropping to the lowest level in 14 years since 2009. Data released by the People's Bank of China on August 11th showed that yuan loans increased by 345.9 billion yuan in July, and the increment of social financing was 528.2 billion yuan, with the year-on-year growth of the stock of social financing scale at the end of the month reaching 8.9%, while the year-on-year growth of broad money supply reached 10.7%. Compared to the previous values, all four major data points fell sharply, especially the new loans and the increment of social financing, which plummeted dramatically. The number of new loans in July was 345.9 billion yuan, a drastic decrease of 89% compared to June, far below analyst expectations and even less than half of what many experts predicted. The forecast from a survey by Bloomberg among economists was 780 billion yuan. The experts surveyed by Reuters in the UK predicted 800 billion yuan. At the same time, according to data from Win, new loans in July hit a new low since November 2009, when it was 294.8 billion yuan, and the increment of social financing hit a new low since July 2016, when it was 479.1 billion yuan. The year-on-year growth rate of the stock of social financing scale hit a new low for the second consecutive month. M2 hit a new low since April 2022. The sharp decline in loans and the increment of social financing in July further confirms the lackluster economic recovery in the second and third quarters. Bloomberg quoted Qiang Song, chief Asia macro strategist at Societe Generale Bank in Hong Kong, as saying this news is very disappointing and proves that China's economic recovery is still very fragile. China's central bank lowered the benchmark interest rate by 10 basis points in June, the first cut in the past 10 months. Many analysts estimate that China's central bank will have several small rate cuts this year, but these measures may not have a significant effect and may not be sufficient to alleviate consumer and business concerns. In addition, economic data released by the Chinese National Bureau of Statistics on August 9 showed that the year-on-year decline in the Consumer Price Index (CP) was 0.3% and the year-on-year decline in the Producer Price Index was 4.4%. Furthermore, there have been numerous reports that China's massive real estate industry is facing more debt problems. Despite the low interest rates, worried consumers and businesses are still hoarding cash rather than spending or investing.
And that is today's episode. If you found this video informative, please subscribe and ring a bell to get notification. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
With the